Facts don't care about your feelings, and business is business. Stay tuned for today's video. Giveaway alert, guys. I'm trying to hit 50 subscribers, and when we do, I will be giving away this Black Friday combo box, the Black Kiram and Melmetal EX box. So once we hit 50 subscribers, I will be choosing one random subscriber to receive this box, and I will ship it to them free of cost. So guys, business is business, money is money, and facts don't care about your feelings. And this is what I'm going to say. We're going to compare two businesses, Jagex, the developers of RuneScape, and the Pokemon Company International. So guys, with RuneScape made us bad decisions, just like any company. You can't be right 100% of the time, but they made some bad decisions back in the early 2010s, and they created something called the evolution of combat, which, long story short, people were not happy with, and a lot of people left the game. Fast forward to 2013, they developed an old school version of the game, coincidentally called Old School RuneScape, and that brought a lot of people back to the game because of nostalgia. Nostalgia brought the people back to the game, but then shortly after, people started to leave, because when you have lots of time to grind out things that you didn't before, because when you're a kid, you have a limited amount of time to spend on a game until your parents kick you off, or you have other things that they need you to do or whatnot. But when you're an adult, there's nobody telling you, hey, you have to do this, you have to do that. You can literally sit down on a Saturday morning and waste the whole day, and the content just doesn't last as long. So with no updates, the player base started to decline, and soon enough there were hardly any people playing old school RuneScape. But then they put in a few updates, and people started to come back. They put in things like God Wars. People started to come back, and slowly over the years, things have happened and changed and updated, and now there's more people playing old school RuneScape than there is playing the main game. Not because of nostalgia anymore, because the game is just is so much bigger than it was. There's so much more content than there was in 2007 and in 2013 when the game released again. So what it boils down to is that people come for nostalgia, and it's a good tactic to bring people in. It's a good hook, but it's not something that's going to keep people there. And so once you hook somebody, you have to give them a reason to stay. And so that's what RuneScape did. That's what Jagex did with old school RuneScape. They hooked them in with nostalgia, and then they gave them all sorts of amazing updates over the years and started to grow their player base. First with nostalgia, then with fancy things, shiny things, big updates. Pokemon Company, you could say they did the same thing. If you can think back to the Sword and Shield era, if you were around, what happened? They released one of their biggest sets of all times, one of the most popular sets of all time, Evolving Skies. And shortly, right around that time, what else did they release? The Celebration set, the biggest nostalgia hit of the last 10 years for Pokemon. And then right after that, Fusion Strike, a Gengar set. There's one of the most popular Pokemon. Almost everybody loves Gengar. So they know what they're doing. They are giving you this nostalgia hit, but then centered around that nostalgia hit on either side of it, either side of Celebrations, they have Evolving Skies and they have Fusion Strike. And so they're bringing people in for nostalgia, but they're keeping them there for these huge sets, for the Moonbreon, for the Gengar Fusion Strike card. And that's good. That's good business. That's what Pokemon is trying to do. They're trying to bring people in to get a bigger audience, and then they're trying to retain that audience, retain that market share that they've brought in. Now it's not going to be 100%, and I don't think they expected it to be 100%. The population goes up and down of the people that are interested in Pokemon, just like it did on RuneScape. But still, growing the market share of the TCG or of the video game side or whatever Pokemon's trying to do at that time is their main goal. Now fast forward to 2024 and 2025, Pokemon has this big release of Pokemon Pocket, and it's not a mistake, it's not a coincidence, that Pokemon Pocket then gets followed by Surging Sparks and by Prismatic Evolutions. Eevee is one of those biggest and most popular Pokemon, and it has a nostalgia hit for people from different generations now, because it has so many evolutions from the first gen, the Flareon, the Jolteon, the Vaporeon, then Espeon and Umbreon, and then you go on to Glaceon and Leafeon. Those Pokemon span so many different generations, 3 different generations, and so it has a huge draw for those people. So you bring them in with Pocket, and then you hit them with Pikachu and Surging Sparks, and then you hit the market with evolutions, and it just boils up to this perfect storm where now a year later in 2026 you cannot find any Pokemon products on the shelves of major retailers for any longer than maybe 4 hours after a restock, unless they're priced way above the retail suggested price. But the fact that you can't find anything on the shelves is a good thing. And so these people that are, claim to be huge fans of Pokemon, they want the Pokemon Company to suffer just so they can enjoy the hobby a little bit more. They want to keep it to themselves. But now the Pokemon Company has this influx of market share into their TCG, and people are complaining. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. We shouldn't be complaining about that. I mean, we brought in all these YouTubers and everything, and the rip and shippers. Yeah, not everybody is, on the up and up, but if you bring in 1 million new people into the hobby, not everybody's going to be a 5-star candidate for, to represent the hobby. There's, no matter what you're in, there's always going to be a few bad beans. But now you use nostalgia, you got those people in, you got people like me, and you see the Prismatic Evolutions, you get attached to the Prismatic Evolution set, and now you ripped us in, and you're holding us there, and then you hit us with with Journey Together, and then Destined Rivals, and into the Mega Evolution thing. And I wasn't a part of the hobby during Mega Evolution, but yet you know what now is happening? I am collecting Mega Evolutions cards because of nostalgia. I got brought in by the nostalgia of Prismatic Evolutions being an Eevee set, and now I'm collecting Mega Evolution cards. And I'm playing Mega Evolutions games. Legends ZA. You're allowed to be upset that there's nothing on the shelves. You're allowed to be upset that things are too expensive. You're allowed to do that. But the facts are the facts, and the facts do not care about your feelings. They do not care about my feelings. And the facts are, when Pokemon cards are not on the shelves, and when Pokemon cards are more expensive, it might not translate immediately to more money for the Pokemon card company, but it creates demand. When things are valuable, people want to have them. People want to have Pokemon cards because they're valuable. Not all people. I mean, obviously there's, those people that play the TCG and, the purists and stuff, the vocal minority, complaining about the MSRP and, holier than thou people. But it remains still that this is good for the hobby. Having a wide variety of people in your hobby, investors, TCG players, collectors, gamblers, having all of those types of people in the hobby are better for the hobby, because it means more money for the Pokemon Company. And when they have more money, they can hit us with newer and better products. They can buy print facilities, or they can rent print facilities to print more cards. But don't get it wrong, guys. You do not want to print so many cards that, they have a backlog in distribution, a backlog at the Pokemon Center. They don't want Lost Origin boxes to be sitting on their website for 3 years post printing. That's not what they want. That's not what any company wants. People want to sell, businesses want to sell their product in a timely manner so they can reinvest it and make more products. So circling back to the main point of this video, the strategy that Jagex used with RuneScape, the strategies that the Pokemon Company used with their TCG. It's the same. They bring people in for nostalgia, and then they give them an update. They give them a reason to stay. They give you a reason to stay. And just because that reason isn't the same as somebody else's reason, don't get mad. And don't get mad at the success of the Pokemon Company, because in the long run, it's a good thing. Don't get mad at their success. This is good. So really, what I want to say is that just like the golden age of RuneScape is probably what we're living in right now, so with the Pokemon card company, as this boom is happening, watch for the golden age of Pokemon cards to emerge. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget the giveaway as soon as we get to 50 subscribers. And oh yeah, guys, remember Crown Zenith, the Mewtwo V-Star, the best card in Pokemon, and the best evolution from the Galarian Gallery in Glaceon. This card is fire, or should I say ice cold. Peace.